Shalom, one of Sarah souls, but giving no praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Kakadash, double honors, apostle of great millstone, and honors you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's real name, with whom the world angrily calls God, Jehovah, Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. The son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba meaning in, Ha meaning then, Shai meaning name, so Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Just quick one. Just wanted to make a correction. Something that I had said at the camp yesterday, basically in reference to, Russia's military setup. The information that I had was basically along the lines of, Russia's military is set up differently in that it's more like publicly owned, as in the government like owns it, in contrast say America's military, where you've got loads of loads of offshoot companies that basically work for the government, like your Raytheons, your Boeings, etc., etc., right? But I was just fact checking myself earlier on today, and I wasn't able to corroborate that, so just was like, you know what, let me just assume others. And in fact, some of the information that I've got actually is to the contrary. I don't know what from the information I originally seen, I don't know whether they were, going breaking it down differently, whatever, but I'm just gonna go off of what I've seen here. What was very interesting from my research was just basically how these two Edomite nations basically make up all of the world's armaments. Right, so this is from Wikipedia. It says the defense industry of Russia. The defense industry of Russia is a strategically important sector and a large employer in Russia. It is also a significant player in the global arms market, with Russian Federation being the second largest conventional arms exporter after the United States, with $13.5 billion worth of exports in 2012. And that's some old ass data, but one can only imagine that it's significantly higher than that now. It says combined, the US and Russia account for 57% of all major weapons exports, right? This just goes to show you that these Edomites, their blessing truly was the sword, which we're going to get in a second. So the Russian government has announced its intention to restructure the debts of Russian military industrial complex in the amount of 750 billion rubles. Half of this amount will be written off, etc., etc., etc. And yeah, you can read more into it if you want. In fact, let me just grab this real quick. Russia's defense industry employs 2.5 to 3 million people and accounts for 20% of all manufacturing jobs in Russia. Right, so these Ruskies, they're in that war like, that's legit. In fact, that's 1 second. This is Joel. Joel 3 and 10, right? It says, I'll read into Joel 3 from 9. So proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say I am strong. I wanted to get just the first bit, beat your plowshares into swords, where plowshares being farming instruments and stuff like that. Basically divert the money from, your agriculture and your other stuff into basically making weaponry, right? Yeah, it's not like 100% or 50%, but 20% is still quite a large, what would you call it, sector, right? As such, that's 20% of all manufacturing. One fact, it'll be interesting to see what that is, in other countries, right? But yeah, like I said, you can read more into that if you will. This is Genesis 27 and 38. It says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And the point that we want there is, by thy sword shalt thou live, right? And that is this man's MO. Whenever he goes around, he lives by the sword, he moves by the sword, right? You read Habakkuk, the second chapter speaks about how he is as death and cannot be satisfied, right? So when you're seeing the fact that both of these, America and the what you call America and Russia make up 57%, right, of all major conventional weapons exports, right, to Edomite nations, right? Because ultimately, yeah, the Lord's gonna use Russia and her allies, and ultimately, you know, the alliance, and then ultimately, all of America's allies also, right, to shoot at America and destroy America. The Lord isn't with the Russians, right? That's why it says in Ezekiel the 38th chapter, that the Lord ain't, I'll put hooks into thy jaws, right? But behold, I'm against thee, right? Because they're still Edomites, right? So these two Edom nations, as of 2012, basically had 57% of all major exports. In fact, let me just see if I can see if I can find a more up to date figure real quick. Right, so this is the globaleconomy.com. I had kind of wanted as a percentage, right? But one thing I found very interesting would in fact go to this one instead, right? But really, you go to what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is when you see the first non-Edomite nation, right? And in fact, when you really look at it, you only really, of these large numbers that you're seeing, when you got basically, South Korea, that's effectively America. But also you do have a lot of industry, that's what your Samsung Electronics, your LGs, and all of those sorts of stuff, right? But wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of American. Let me phrase it that way. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of American involvement in that, be with it being an American ally, right? Italy, and then China's like, you got Russia and you got China of that other side of things, right? But then you have what, the UK, Australia, Israel, right? Sweden, so just a whole load of Edomite nations, right? Proving the point. And then you got America there at the top, 3 times more than the next in terms of exports, right? So in the, what is that? What, trillions of dollars maybe? Or billions? I don't know. Maybe, yeah, it must be trillions. Let me see. But I mean, anyway, you see the point, just how much these Edomites have been blessed with that sword, right? So yeah, just gonna close it out. Like I said, yeah. So the Russian military-industrial complex isn't, from what I've seen, it isn't so much state-owned. Like I said, from the information that I've been able to find. So it's like the state will still like give contracts and stuff like that to private entities. Here that you see one there, United Aircraft Corporation, um, Bulava, and obviously Sukhoi, which is the company that makes their jets and stuff like that. So yeah, so just wanted to correct that real quick, and yeah, till the next time, say shalom.